then start, okay? Dear Abia, we
Okay.
are live. The floor is yours.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. My name is Abiha Mahin Khan, and I'm from Pakistan. I'm a Women Ascension Fellow. So, we're going to start by talking a bit about what Women Ascension really does. A lot of you fellows already know, but we're going to highlight it once more. So, Women Ascension is a program empowering women how to learn how to partake in transforming communities through leadership, belonging, and service. And it has this specific program. It's called the 1 Million Leadership Program 2030, and it aims to equip 1 million women and specifically youth with ethical and trauma informed leadership skills, which are in alignment with the UN SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. So, us as fellows, we're gaining hands on experience through mentorship sessions and purpose driven growth. We're also going to be working on reports, etc. I am part of the Skills Development Program, the department, and I welcome you all to the Mentorship Session 5.63. I'll be the moderator for this session, and with our today's speaker, Ma'am Afreen Khan, who is an education consultant from Pakistan, and she is a mentor at Women Ascension. Welcome, ma'am. We look forward to hearing from you within a few minutes. So, before we begin our session formally, I would like to go through a bit of the points that are going to be highlighted in the today's session, which Ma'am Afreen is going to talk about. So, number one, we're going to be talking about sustainability, the fundamentals of it, what it actually is. Then we're going to talk about its role in economical, social, and environmental aspects and the challenges associated with it. Then we're also going to talk about the specific UN SDGs, UN Sustainable Development Goals, and how they are going to be our guide towards a better future. Then we're also going to be talking about exploring how communities can adapt to these SDGs. So now I would like to give the floor to Ma'am Afreen. Ma'am, you may please begin with your session.
Thank you so much, Abiha, for the warm welcome. And I'm elated to be here. Um, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon from wherever you are. You have joined in, and welcome everybody. I am truly happy at the same time that so many of you are here. And today we are going to be diving into a topic that affects every single one of us. And when we talk about or when we mention something that it affects every single one of us, it's all about sustainability and the development goals, which is like now commonly known as the SDGs. Whether you are in hospitality, whether you're in business or community leadership, your actions have a direct impact on our planet, societies, and future generations. So I hope like by the end of this session, you'll walk away with like a clear understanding of sustainability and zero waste basics. And we will be diving into some of the practical ways to apply sustainable practices in hospitality and in community spaces as well. And I would also be like, talking about something to for inspiration to take green leadership action in your workplace or educational institutes or in fact your neighborhood as well. So this session is meant to be, I mean, um, more of interaction. It would be good if we all can participate via chat as well, and keep commenting, keep asking questions along the way, so that we can extract the best out of it. So moving on, I've already spoken about it. Now, what is sustainability and why these SDGs are important for us and why are we talking about it. Um, I'll take a minute and I would request each one of you that for you in like one word or in a simple sentence, what sustainability is for you. You can use the chat box and write your comments there. I'm sure each one of you is writing something because I can't access the chat right now. So I would really appreciate mm, the moderator if you can help me read out some of the comments.
So we haven't gotten any response so far.
All right. All right, guys,
Yes.
just in your understanding or in your comprehension, just one word or a sentence, what is sustainability to you?
Everyone, can you please write down in one line what your understanding of sustainability is, what the word sustainable means to you?
All right, no worries. Abhiha, I believe people are here just to, listen more and not to interact more. I think I can see some of the responses coming in. Yes. Okay, Asila. Hi, Samra. Okay, so says the ability to keep something going, preferably in its purest form. Thank you for sharing that. Simreen says constant. Someone says in a way that does not finish or end. Abiha, can you hear me fine?
Yes, I can. Do you want me to read these?
No. I thought that somebody just mentioned that that my voice is low. Ability to sustain and maintain and progress with no ill effects on anything living. Yeah, I think that's great. So I'm like good to see that you people are aware about it. Um, when we say sustainability, we often imagine, trees, recycling, climate change, and I happened to, stop by as I was preparing for this session. So I asked my younger son, asking him that, what is sustainability to you? So he looked at me and he smiled and he said, Mama, it's too hot. So, everyone has got a different definition and a different understanding of the term sustainability. And that's exactly what not just one individual, in fact, every human being and all the living beings are encountering it. It's not just one person, it's just like a complete system. According to the United Nations, sustainability has got three major pillars. And when we talk about these three major pillars, the very first pillar is environmental sustainability, protecting ecosystems, reducing pollution, conserving energy and resources along with it. I'll give you an example with it. When we say that reduce plastics or reduce the usage of plastics being used in hypermarkets or in hotels or in any industry, and then the second important pillar is social sustainability, um, ensuring that equality and safe working conditions are provided to the employees, access to healthcare, education, community, and well-being at the same time. To reinforce the points that I've just said about social sustainability, let's take an example of this. If you're hiring local staff in probably in any of the domain, instead of relying solely on temporary workers, that's social sustainability. Then the third important pillar is about economic sustainability. a strong economy that does not like destroy the environment or people, that really adds to economic sustainability in terms of that. Now to re-improvise on this example, um, I think I can talk about tourism here. Tourism that brings long-term benefit to communities, talking about tourism, promoting your own city, your country, and not just exploiting at the same time, promoting and cultivating and um, imparting and spreading the message of ecotourism at the same time. Now, these three must remain balanced. If one collapses, the whole system suffers. Now, moving ahead, now why sustainability matters and why I think the reason why I've used this image, this is one of the alarming situations that the world is facing, not only in any single country. I think all over the globe, the rains, the kind of flood situations have occurred recently. It's an alarm that the nature is talking to us and telling us that, you know, the sustainability factor needs to be re-improvised. Um, Quoting one of an example, in 2024, that was recorded as the hottest year in human history. It also, break the 2023 records. And this figure is quoted by World Meteorological Organization. Then talking about not only about climate urgency, about the waste crisis. Another fact that is given by UNEP in their report in 2024 was about the hospitality industry is producing 289,000 plus tons of food waste every year globally. Now that's a significant number. And if we come down and trickle down to the effect of plastic, 11 million tons enter oceans annually. Now, these figures are just not the figures. These figures are quoted on global platforms. And to identify and talk about the urban stress this is causing to the environment, 70% of people will live in cities by 2050. So what happens? I mean, what can we envision? We can envision that there will be increased demand for housing and waste management. And these are not some distant problems. Hospitality, business, and communities are all contributing and can be part of the solution. So what is it that we can do? How, the SDGs can help us envision and prosper towards the better world that United Nations is targeting for by 2030. So we are going to focus specifically on SDG 11, that is sustainable cities and communities. Then SDG 12, that is responsible consumption and production. And then SDG 13, which is climate action. Now, these three are directly linked to zero waste living and green leadership. Now, when we talk about zero waste management and what is basically the zero waste concept, zero waste does not mean producing zero waste at all. It means designing waste out of the system and eradicating it and trying to create that zero waste hierarchy. That's this image also will give you an idea that what are we going to be talking about. If you look at this hierarchy here, least preferred to most preferred zones are created when we talk about zero waste basics. And it means that designing waste out of the system. If you look at refusing to say that no to single use, and then you are coming down to reuse, Again, we talk about the 3 Rs, and we try to spread the message right from the schooling system as well, educating the toddlers about it, and placing the garbage bins and placing the 3 Rs over it will not. It is creating awareness on grassroots level. It has done wonders as well. But now, as an individual, the shift and the responsibility is more than we imagine. It's more about simplify purchasing, try to reuse and recycle only after reuse options are gone and dusted, right? Then we talk about rotting, the process of compost organic waste. To highlight one specific example here, that if you see hospitals and hotels, they're replacing mini shampoo bottles with refillable dispensers now. This is one of the greatest example of incorporating such reducing plastic waste at the same time. And according to the UN report, in the last 6 months, it has reduced plastic waste by 30%. So you see that a small action can create such great ripples of effect in our environment, and not only in our environment, in our community as well. And this if you specifically want to dive into the report that was published 3 months ago, I will also share the link with all of you in the chat, and later on you can visit the link as well. Okay. Biggest waste that is happening in hospitality, and what are some of the key waste resources? Now, one of the key waste resources is about 25% of your food prepared in hotels is wasted, and there is nobody accountable for it. And UNEP Global Food Waste Report that was published at the end of December 2024, it says that single-use plastics, that is, straws, bottles, toiletry miniatures, they add so much amount of waste, not only from one industry, but many industries. And then you can imagine what other unrecycled materials that we have. We have got paper, we have got textile, we have got coffee pods as well. So if your everyday routine is going to look like this, I'm sure that we are not going to be saving anything, because small changes, it multiplies. I recently got to know that there's this hotel in Dubai. It replaced plastic bottles with filtered water stations. So every small initiative, every act becomes a news, and then people start replicating it. And I think that's a great initiative where instead of providing plastic bottles to the guests that are coming inside the hotel, they've just placed water dispensers and water stations where they can access the water without any hassle. Now, in return, what happens is that they saved 1 million plastic bottles per year. Now, that's a great number. And it reduced their cost by 35%. So this also became one of their marketing advantage. And because zero waste is not just a sacrifice, it's smart business and responsible citizenship at the same time. I'll just quickly pause to see if there is anything in the chat. Okay. Yeah, I can see responses coming in. Thank you. Let's move ahead. So when we talk about, as you know, I was just talking about this example from a Dubai-based hotel. That's the behavior change which is contributing towards big impact. And if I have to mention SDG 11, when we talk about sustainable cities and communities, it's just not like a fancy name that sustainable cities. It's about making cities safe, making cities breathable, resilient, and making sure that the communities and individuals are inclusive within it. waste there. I mean, if I have to highlight typically an example from Gulf countries, again, Dubai is making great, smart moves in terms of sustainable changes. Dubai's plan for 2040, it is focusing on green spaces to create more and more green spaces for communities. They are launching local recycling drives, and they are awarding individuals for participation, like marathons, and green rooftops culture is integrated and embedded. Community gardens and for that matter, are propelling and excelling in that zone as well. However, again, not to forget that entire Gulf, and specifically if we talk about United Arab Emirates, in particular, it's a desert country. But they have, with their sustainable practices, they have revolutionized the meaning and overall outlook of the country itself. So moving ahead, responsible now when we to implement sustainability and to become responsible enough and responsible in terms of consumption and production, this is the SDG for hospitality. And the goal is to produce more with fewer resources. And there are certain 2025 trends that in particular are developing. Let's say circular economy in hotels towards the hospital industry, um, contactless check-ins, and minimizing the paperless operations. Sustainable supply chains are happening. Locally resourced food. There, all of this is happening so that they can um, recreate more reusable amenities, and with an immense reduction around 45%. I think I would say if it's happening 45%, which is a good number, but even a 2%, even a 3% change is commendable. They're also partnering with local farmers to initiate fresh food and lower emissions. Now, these are some of the best practices that are happening across the globe, and the reason is that one of us needs to advocate about it. You all are here today. It means that you all are equally concerned, and you all are equally um, responsible enough to take such measures about sustainability and to spread the message of advocacy and to continue this campaign. Now, what can we do is, these are some of the initiatives that Women Ascension is taking, and many other organizations. They're talking about it. They're spreading the message, and I believe you're even listening to and imparting the same knowledge ahead takes a lot of courage, and it takes a lot of strength, because whenever we shift from one point to the other, it's not just the shift, it's about the shift of the mindset. The mindset needs to evolve, the mindset needs to change. People need to shift to newer practices, the practices that they need to let go of the traditional practices that have been carrying on, and they need to innovate, they need to adapt, and they need to let this thrive ahead, so that by 2030, and the vision 2030 is envisioning a lot of scarcity. We can save ourselves from getting into the scarce zone, and there's a lot of imminent danger propelling ahead. And we are the ones who can be the pioneers, and if not the pioneers, at least the advocates who can talk about it and who can create this ripple of effect for our future generations to come ahead. Now, when we see that the goal is to produce more with fewer resources, again, amenities are less, but what are we creating for our masses? Every business must measure and reduce its carbon footprint. emissions coming from this coming from the sources in hospitality, that is electricity, and the amount of air conditioners now being installed at every if you see every outdoor unit, you'll see an air conditioner installed. Now, waste in landfills. When we see waste in landfills, it's releasing a very dangerous gas, which is polluting not only the environment, it is damaging the ozone layer. And that's how we are facing this global change in terms of climate, in terms of the heat index that's continuously rising. And many countries have witnessed this shift and that tangent and that curve of evolving heat. And either the summers are getting extreme or either the winters are getting harsher. So many of the initiatives, many of the organizations, many household people, they have shifted to solar panels, and using solar panels have reduced the consumption of energy as well by not by a significant amount, which is like 20 to 30% across the globe annually now. Composting reduces methane by 50 to 60%. So what are we trying to impart is we need to replace our practices with more economical ones and more sustainable ones that not only save from the wrath of the nature over the humans. In fact, the marine life is getting affected as well. If there is a comment, I'll pause. So, right. So, I would want to give an example here. Recently, local businesses, they are promoting refill stations, and I've seen in the news as well that restaurants are donating surplus food to NGOs as well. And now this needs to continue, and this does not need to stop, because if this stops, I think like the depletion of heat index overall will um, will decrease, and we can further witness that sustainability will no longer be a taboo. Now people are more familiar about it. Awareness sessions are taking place. People are collaborating across from one globe to another, and more and more interactive events are taking place, which is a good sign. And I believe if we continue like this, it's going to be a substantial point for all of us to then we will not be having such webinars about it. We will be probably sharing some of our projects that are cross-cultured, or from one country to another. And I think profitability in terms of economic sustainability, that does not harm people or the planet, because ecotourism at the same time, it's supporting long-term revenue without harming the culture or nature. So I just reiterating the three pillars that I mentioned in the at the start, that is environmental sustainability, social sustainability, and economic sustainability. These three pillars are like legs of a stool. If one is weak, everything becomes unstable. So that's what we are trying to promote here, and we are going to witness that within 2030, by 2050, 70% of the world population is going to be urbanized, and we need smarter waste systems, we need cleaner air, and we need sustainable transport. Just imagine, children born today could grow up in a world where water and clean air are privileges unless we start acting up. So it's like time that we say we take a step and understand what the zero waste hierarchy. I'm just revising the points that we have covered again. The first important point is say no to what you don't need, and refuse plastic straws, refuse unnecessary packaging, just say no to it. When you say no to it, automatically things are going to evolve. Second is reduce, buy and consume less. Try to have portion control in hotels and wherever you go, wherever you are dining out, either you're ordering it, be selective, be mindful that your action can result into something devastating. The third point is reuse, extend the product life, refill water stations instead of, using single-used bottles. And again, try to recycle stuff only when, like you don't have reuse option is left. So then, you can, of course, get a new. Uh, I think recycling is not the first solution, but changing your habit is. So just one more point I would like to highlight here. In the hospitality sector, most waste happens behind the scenes. According to UNEP, hotels, they throw up to 25% of food which is prepared. We see that buffet, they look attractive, they look fancy, but the leftovers are often untouched and they are just dumped away. So sustainable practices are not just good for the earth, they literally save money. So if I talk about urban sustainability, what it includes and how we can empower it, we need to focus on better waste management. We need to create green spaces. And when we talk about green spaces for mental health is equally important. Sustainable public transport and providing that space for commuters and disaster resilient infrastructure. I'm sure you might have witnessed a lot of images and a lot of reels running across on social media of the devastating rains that have destroyed the infrastructure of many countries. And we need to have that readiness that any kind of natural disaster, we should be equipped. The country needs to be equipped. The government needs to be equipped to battle it out. Dubai's clean energy strategy, it aims for zero emissions hotels by 2030. I think this is a powerful focus and initiative by them. And a sustainable city, any sustainable city supports tourism while also preserving the local culture, the heritage, and the environment at the same time. And jumping on to SDG 12, which is about responsible consumption and production, like I said, that we have to be accountable. We need to be responsible that what we are consuming and how are we consuming. Because SDG 12 tells us to do more with less. And in hospitality, it means that you're buying local stuff. You're reducing the carbon from the transportation. You're eliminating food waste. You're partnering, let's say, with local NGOs or any institutes that are working on such initiatives. Now, many university students are working on such initiatives that they are trying to eliminate food waste, and they are collecting foods from people or from students or from hostels and providing it to the needy ones. That is, you can try with designing products for reuse. That is, which is your circular economy. And one example in hospitality I would like to give of Marriott's refillable toiletry program. They have saved 500 million plastics bottles, not in one country, but globally. And 500 million, I think it's a powerful number. So again, sustainability becomes a brand advantage that customers now demand more rapidly. And it's like the awareness is just, spreading, and it has started to make that trickle down effect. Jumping on to the last SDG that we are focusing on is about SDG 13, which is asking us to reduce our carbon footprint. Carbon emissions all over is coming from, again, as I've already highlighted, air conditions, electricity, water heating, the foods that you import, waste decomposing into methane. Um, a hotel installing solar panels can reduce the energy bills by, let's say, 20%. And at the same time, it will also attract eco-conscious travelers. There are people who consciously avoid places where, uh, energy or eco practices are not being used. So if you see on the contrary, those who are eco-conscious travelers, they will automatically be directed towards such initiatives. So climate action is no longer optional. It is a phrase which is called as operational excellence. So these are some practices that we together as a community, as an individual can adapt. Because if you see, people will follow people and people follow people. They don't follow rules. Um, you can be a green leader. That was my last slide, that how you can be a green leader. Everybody can be a green leader. You just have to start sustainability committees. This wonderful platform right here is one of it can be a great launch pad for all of you, and start doing these discussions in small groups, then expand your horizon. And when you start expanding your horizon, you will see automatically um, people are going to get attracted to the initiatives that you are taking. Start tracking waste, start tracking energies being released, or start tracking the organizations that are not following eco practices. Try creating the awareness, try reaching out to them, and start by reaching them by sending an email, or probably you can drop them a message on LinkedIn and start spreading the awareness. Setting simple guidelines within your colleagues or within your friends. I mean, it really, really, really makes a huge impact. And I remember that I once was attending an in-person session, and I saw that the speaker, she was given a plastic water bottle, and she was asked to talk about green practices, and she said that I'm here talking about green practices. I cannot touch this water bottle, because then what am I talking is going against what I'm doing. So, small initiatives, people, they really do value and people really do consider. So the change starts from you. You have to be the advocate, you have to be the leader within you, and you'll see that everything will start falling in places. You'll see you'll get a lot of opportunities in them. Try to partner with local organizations, um, volunteer for such such initiatives where you can talk and spread awareness about SDGs. And also, the counseling and awareness needs to start from the toddler's age, right from the classroom level. You can if you are from an HR, if you are an HR person, or if you are an aspiring HR person, or you are a people culture person, try bringing training programs for your colleagues, for your friends, for your class fellows or classmates, because sustainability is just not a single action. It's it's a total mind shift, which can be triggered by the right kind of leadership, and you have to be that leader. You have to take that lead. So I'll just like quickly summarize what we have um, spoken about as far as being a green leader is concerned. Again, small actions, they result into massive long-term results, and that is what sustainability is all about. Make a roadmap for yourself, how you can redesign, how can you impart the knowledge of reducing, reusing, and rethinking, right? You're not just participants here today. I see you all as future sustainability ambassadors. And I, I would invite each of you to make a personal pledge for yourself. um, I want you all to promise for one behavioral change that you are going to bring in, one zero waste habit that you're going to bring in, and one climate friendly action that you are going to take, and one improvement that you are going to take at your workplace or at the institution where you are. Because change begins the moment you decide it will, or else it will never. And I'll just quickly share these pointers for you in the chat. So, one behavioral change, think of what you can bring or do. Then, one zero waste habit that you are going to start taking from today onwards. One climate friendly action that you are going to take. And don't worry, you don't have to panic about that you have to do right from here. It's all about food for thought. Um, Start thinking around these lines. It's going to help you envision and plan for the future. And even if whatever you are planning to do, just remember that your ideas and your creativity can bring a lot of change. So be that change. So I'll quickly conclude here and I'll move to the questions. Thank you, Kani.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah,
That was
please.
very insightful. All of the participants, if you have any questions, you're requested to drop them in the chat box. We're going to wait for 3 minutes and then we're going to proceed with the questions. I'm going to read the questions and then ma'am can answer them. So you guys have 3 minutes. Okay, since the since the attendees don't have any questions, I have prepared a few questions of my own. So, ma'am, would you mind answering them? Like, I'll start.
Yeah, sure, Abia. You can also share in the
Okay.
chat.
So, with our focus on sustainability and even SDGs, so the more of the focus I've noticed is around like doing less harm, reduction in this and reduction in that, etc. So, do you think that what would like instead of doing less harm, what would doing more good look like in practically in practice with on an individual level and within communities?
Thank you, Abiha, for the question. So basically, you are asking about, I think that's a very insightful point. Also, thank you for bringing this up. Yes, like the SDGs often they highlight reducing harm. Um, in specific that how reducing carbon emissions, reducing waste, and reducing inequalities, and that's essential because we are dealing with many urgent crises now. But sustainability, again, is not only about doing less bad, it is equally about creating more good for people and for the planet as well. So, on an individual level, on top of my head, we can create more good when we, support local businesses. When you are, promoting livelihoods, you're boosting livelihoods. Um, you can again choose products with fair labor practices, like where human rights are respected. You can adopt circular habits, and when we talk about circular habits, that's reuse, repairing, and sharing. And then reduce consumption, again mindful living, and educate each other, because it's all about creating positive ripple effect. And you know for instance, if I switch to a reusable bottle, it is not just reducing plastic, it changes the norm for everyone around you. Because small lifestyle decisions, they become leadership actions in particular. And you also asked about, community level. So communities, they create more good by, running community cleanup programs can happen, recycling points can be done. Community gardens. If you search Barcelona's community garden, you'll see that Barcelona promotes so much of community garden initiatives within the teenagers as well, because it improves food access and it creates biodiversity. Encouraging green transportation, because at the end of the day, cleaner air is for it will be for everyone. And educating youth on sustainability, future resilience is needed. So I think it's all about the mindset shift. Instead of only asking how do we cause like less harm, we should also ask that how do we contribute to a thriving planet and society. So sustainability becomes a journey from less harm to more good, and then long-term positive impact. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you so much. Because I completely agree with what you say that because in my opinion, sustainability is an umbrella, and under that there's not only eco-friendly practices, but it also looks like partnering with local businesses and supporting local cultures, etc. Especially within the light of tourism and hospitality. I think that is very much applicable. So, moving on to the next question. So, if sustainability was not measured in reports or data, so not quantitatively, but in a qualitative manner, so in terms of how people feel and in terms of their safety and belonging and their connection to their land, to their culture, to other peoples and communities, how do you think like
Abhiha, I lost your voice. I can't hear you.
Uh, okay, ma'am. She's joined back. Miss Chiamu. She's sharing to reduce paper waste from their books, even if they think their parents can afford more. This in order to prevent global warming. Met with a lot of surprise. How
Can you?
else can
Yeah,
they be convinced
I am
better?
not able, Tanvi, I am unable to hear you properly. Can you please repeat the question or you can just write it in the chat?
Okay, am I audible now?
Yes, you are. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, so Ms. Chiamo is asking from the audience that I often tell my students to reduce paper waste from their books, even if they think their parents can afford more. That is in order to prevent global warming. This is often meant with a lot of surprise. How else can they be better convinced? Ma'am, you're muted.
All right. So I think, yeah. This question was there in the chat that, she often tell her students to reduce paper waste from their books, even if that they think their parents can afford more. This is in order to prevent global warming. This is often met with a lot of surprise. How else can they be better convinced? All right. So this is, I think, a problem for every educator, for every teacher in the classroom. First of all, that's great to think around these lines. Again, it's all about just try to understand that we are focusing on the mindset shift. We need to show them that because of this, what is happening? Because of using paper, what is happening to the environment. Until and unless you don't show and tell, again, showing and telling them will save you your lot of energy rather than keeping on asking them to to stop using paper and shift to ebooks or digital platforms, or making it takes like a whole village. It takes a whole village to make the mountains moving. So again, keep on instilling, keep on integrating, and again, show them that because of your one action, what is happening and how the environment is suffering, how the mother nature is suffering.
By She's asking, can avoiding these small things help avoid the consequences occurred from the disasters?
Absolutely, why not? Um, because if you go back and see from the time that over the years, because of human practices, because of these practices that are not favorable for the environment, things have taken a U-turn. Things have started to change drastically and dramatically, and it has impacted the environment not only in one area, it has impacted globally. Glaciers have started melting and whatnot. We see that a tangent curve in dramatic change of weather conditions, and occurrences of earthquakes are more frequent now. If I talk about in my country, in Pakistan, it is more than any of the years that have happened before. And these are the alarming signs that the nature is calling out for, and the nature is pleading. Nature is crying for us to, to shift to sustainable practices. Because if we shift to sustainable practices, that's the only way. We cannot remake, or we cannot fill in the gap in the ozone layer so quickly, but at least we can sustain what's left and what is there. So, certain thriving practices that needs to be embedded.
Yes, totally right. So there's one question from the YouTube. I'll be reading it for you. Just a second. Somebody is asking, in a community where there is a social barrier and a lot of conflict, family, how can one bring solutions and positive change in that situation?
I lost you, Kanvi. I can only hear you till barrier. You said that in a community where there's a social barrier.
Okay, I'll repeat it for you. In a community where there is social barrier and a lot of conflict of families, how can one bring solutions and positive change there?
That's a very tricky question, right? So when we talk about sustainability and when we talk about communities being thriving and making sure that the communities flourish at the same time by using sustainable practices, it's like I totally agree to this question because when there are social barriers, of course, cultural expectations come along with it. Strict community norms are there. Sustainability can, feel challenging to be introduced. But the beauty of sustainability is that it does not require big disruption. Remember that. It can adapt to local culture and work within the existing community values. Now, we can, break it down by thinking that many communities are already practicing sustainable traditions, even if they don't use the word sustainability or even if they are unaware about it. I'll give you an example. They are using home cooked meals rather than buying packaged food. They are passing down clothes or they are using furniture from families to families. They are repairing items instead of throwing them away. So we can revive these positive practices and frame them as sustainability wins. Um, and people, they trust familiar figures. If you talk about elders, if you talk about religious leaders, family heads, local business owners, when they champion sustainability, others will follow. Um, like it's all a ripple of effect. It's not like one person doing, people, they look at it, they start adapting towards it. And the most important point is that families love activities that bring them together, which improves well-being and teach children good values. Um, if you see that more and more gardening initiatives are taking place, community cleanups are taking place, um, children's stewardship or ambassadorship awards are being given, repair and reuse workshops are being organized, waste segregation challenges are taking place. So you see that these enhance family pride plus the community identity at the same time. So even in places with social barriers, sustainability can grow gently, respectfully, through community values, families' involvement, and local leadership. We don't need to push the change, we have to invite it. I think that should have answered the question.
Yes, ma'am, perfectly. So, ma'am, I have my own question. So, how we can actually, uh, you know, uh, everybody chooses comfort over everything. I have seen myself at my place also. Although I prefer, there are certain things. For example, I'll give you an example that even if we were having the spare pages of the notebook and we used to make a separator of notebook for that instead of going and buying, that was what we were doing since our childhood, right? When we had a number of copies. So but there are certain things, for example, we there was a situation when the polythene thing was told that it is not allowed it and etc, right? But after sometimes everything goes to back to the same place. In my university where I was studying, they have started using the paper cups, and then after when I went recently after 1.5 years, and I saw that now they're using a full complete glass, although initially they have changed the straws. So how can we implement it? Because obviously after some time we go back to our bad habits and everything. So how we can do it at our individual level, because obviously we have to start it as an individual, and then we can go for the families and then localities and then slowly like that. But what I feel, the political parties and everything plays a major role, the government, I meant to say. So how we can uh, make an impact, or not awareness but implementation in that case, if you can guide.
That is such an honest observation and very, very rightly said. Comfort and convenience are often the biggest barriers to sustainability. That's very true. When something is easy, cheap, and fast, the example of polythene bags, people quickly adopt it and it becomes a norm. Breaking that norm is difficult because our brains love the habit and comfort more than change. But the good news is that we don't need people to become perfect, right? We just need them to choose better comfort. Why people choose plastics or wasteful habits? Because, they're easily available, they're cheap, or either they're free. And like immediately, there's no immediate visible harm. Everyone else is using them and they save time. These are some of the potential reasons. So remember, the change must replace convenience, not to fight it. So try to make sustainability win over the comfort. What can be done is make the sustainable choice easier. The markets, these, people, they need to make these things readily available and at a low cost and at a low price. Reusable cloth bags placed in cars or near doors, people can quickly grab it and it will become a habit. Cafes, should offer discounts using reusable cups. And I will proudly tell you that, in my city, Karachi, there are certain cafes, they are offering discounts for, using your cups again. And again, I saw that this is something which this particular cafe is doing. It has stayed in my mind. So again, we need more advocacy. We need more organizations taking such initiatives, because when sustainability becomes the most convenient option, habits change and habits will change for sure. Friendly signs near cash counters I've also seen. There's a supermarket here in my city that it says that, did you bring your bag today? So, reiteration and small little reminders. For example, if let's say I shop from one of the supermarket and that's my regular grocery shopping on a monthly basis, let's call it as XYZ hypermarket. And they know that I am their loyal customer. So every month, a reminder about, don't forget to bring your bag today. Such initiatives on these levels should be implemented, and free bag campaign store offering alternatives first. Would you like a cloth bag? Or, you can see a lot of art therapies are happening on tote bags, promoting tote bag culture as well. So again, people don't resist small nudges, they adapt eventually. When things are easily available, people will shift. And that's what we can do on as an individual, because every change starts with one person who decides differently. You have to stand out from the crowd. You have to be the change, because we once thought life was impossible without polythene, remember? And yet, when alternatives become accessible and normalized, comfort shifts as well, right? So sustainability is not about giving up comfort. It's about choosing a comfort that does not cost the planet. So yeah, back to you.
Perfectly answered, ma'am. I really liked that, like you emphasized, like we should start it, and the example you gave of using a tote bag or a regular bag for the same, right? So I have just last two questions, and we'll just wrap up. I just wanted to ask, like, what do you think the three, SDGs you discussed? Based upon that, if you can tell us the one mostly non-negotiable factor that is contributing most to that, causing ill effect to that sustainable goal, and the one which is negotiable, if you can tell that thing, so that at least we have our both the extremes.
So basically, you want to know that which is the which particular SDG is getting affected, and which is like the non-negotiable factor on it, and that is causing the harm. Is that correct?
Yes, 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 ma'am.
Thank you for the clarification. Great question, and I appreciate the depth behind it. So when we talk about the three SDGs we focus today, that is SDG 11, 12, and 13, all three are interconnected. Just note this point that all three of them are interconnected. But if we look for the most negotiable factor, the one consistently driving harm, it is our current pattern of unsustainable consumption and production, which is SDG 12. Now, why SDG 12 is the root cause? People don't realize it, and we are not realizing it because it drives the waste. It drives the emissions. It drives resource depletion. It drives the pressure on cities and ecosystems in particular and massively. I read it recently that more than 90 billion tons of natural resources are extracted globally every year. And this number has tripled since year 1970. Now just imagine, like yet over one third of what we produce is wasted. We live in, I would say, take, make, throw economy. And this model automatically is harming SDG 11 and 13 without any human involvement. SDG 11 becomes harder when cities are choked by traffic, waste, and pollution. Um, I'm sure that everyone is a victim of traffic blockage all around the cities, all around the countries. SDG 13 becomes harder when every product we buy has a carbon footprint from extraction to disposal. So the non-negotiable harm factor is that overconsumption and wasteful production systems. But there's another negotiable factor which I really want to highlight is about time. Now, climate science says we have less than 5 to 6 years to drastically reduce global emissions if we want to keep warming within safe limits. Cities and supply chains are not designed to change quickly. That's why every action now matters. Every action that you take matters now. What can we do? Like you asked that on an individual level, what can we do? We need a shift from buy, use, dispose. We should not do it. We should refuse, reduce, reuse, repair, and recycle. That should be your, mantra. We need leadership from governments. We need leadership from businesses, and especially from communities, because starting small but aiming for bold. So if I summarize in one line, SDG 12 is the root challenge, and solving it unlocks SDG 11 and SDG 13. So yeah, back to you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for answering it so perfectly. Another question I would like to ask is, uh, like, can you please tell us the source which is universal regarding these SDGs and the things which we should not be doing? If you have any source, so you can share it later on with Miss Tahmina and she can forward it, so that which is authentic also, since you are on ground working on these things. So if you can share it, so that we can share in the group and they can read it out and share it out. So
Sure.
because the more visible it is, so it will be.
Yeah, absolutely. I will definitely share that. I have not only one source, I've got like a couple of resources I can share with, and you all can, read through. And it's not even about reading, it's very interactive. You love to glide through some of the short videos that are there. And I would recommend everybody to follow Jeffrey Sash. He's like working greatly and has done great. He's a great professor. He's working great initiatives. Do follow him. Give him a follow on LinkedIn or wherever you are comfortable, and you'll see. And try to follow Institute of Humane right? Humane education. They are doing green sustainable courses, and a lot of great kind of resources are being shared by them. You'll definitely enjoy it, um, because I am someone who doesn't like to read a lot, but small little activities where, some DIY activities where I am someone who enjoys it. So I think these two places are your go-to places. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I have shared it in the group as well, by copying it from here. So I feel it now. There's a perfect question that would end the whole session on a very good note and make everybody think also. So it is, how have recent economic, environmental, and political crisis affected progress towards sustainability in the world?
I realized I was muted. That's again a very important concern, especially in the world we are living in today. Now, the recent global economic slowdown is not only driven by sustainable actions that are not taking place, it's also driven by inflation, the energy crisis. Um, since the post-pandemic recovery, and geopolitical conflicts, not to name any, has had both negative and surprisingly positive effects on sustainability. When I talk about positive effects, yes, there with negative impacts, there are positive impacts as well. Now, sustainability budgets have been cut down. In 2024, more than 60% of global businesses reported delays in sustainability projects because of cost concerns. Um, Coal consumption has increased because, particularly countries are developing, they need more affordable energy. Eco products are now often seen as more expensive, even if they are cost saving long term. So yes, economic crisis does push sustainability backward when decisions are driven only by short-term survival. But when we talk about positive impacts, what has improved? The interesting part is that crisis also accelerated innovation. So yeah, in particular, reusing, repairing, refurbishing saves money. So businesses are turning to circular practices. The circular economy is promoting a lot of economic value, and by 2030 it was stated by World Economic Forum that the circular economy could unlock around 5 billion, a trillion, I think. Yeah, I'm not sure, $5 trillion approximately. So many companies have invested in solar and efficient tech to reduce utility cost as well. People are supporting local supply chains, lower transport emissions are happening, stronger community are taking place. Youth leadership programs and climate activism have become so stronger because it has amplified the voices demanding long-term change. So yes, crisis created a new mindset. Sustainability is not a cost, it is financial survival to be on that front. So a quick answer to like summarizing it. The economic crisis initially slowed sustainability, but due to budget cuts and cheaper fossil fuel options, but it is also pushing countries and companies to adopt more efficient and circular and cost-saving green solutions. The real shift is that sustainability is becoming an economic necessity, not an optional luxury. So I think, Kami, I've answered the question.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for explaining it so elaborately and in a simple language. Now I would like to, since we are answer. So now I would proceed to vote of thanks. And I would really thank you, ma'am, for sharing your invaluable insights on sustainability and particularly the SDGs 11, 12, and 13. Your emphasis on individual action through the refuel, reduce, reuse, repair, and recycle mantra provided us with practical steps we all can implement. You have highlighted how sustainability isn't about sacrificing comfort, but choosing better comfort that does not harm our planet. Your explanation of how our consumption patterns directly impact climate goals with eye-opening and was eye-opening, and your suggestion following most resources which are quite interactive will help the attendees continue their sustainability journey. We appreciate your time and expertise in guiding us towards more sustainable practices, both individually and as communities. Thank you a lot, ma'am, for sparing your time and delivering us such an impactful and insightful session. And we would really like to see you in upcoming sessions so that with the help of Women Ascensions, we are able to create a wider range of this sustainable goals, not for ourselves, but for our planet and for our future generations. Thank you a lot, ma'am.
Thank you, Kanvi. Thank you so much. And I really enjoyed, and especially the questions that have come on the surface have really also sparked curiosity and more deeper interest. So thank you for having me. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, participants, for joining in and for your questions. And hopefully, we will see you uh, for the future sessions, and hope the insights shared by ma'am will be implemented and will be passed on to other people. Thank you a lot, everyone. The session is officially over. The